So, all right, so let's go ahead and get started with that. So, Becky, would you like to start?
Sure. My name is Becky. I've been an FNTP I graduated in November of 19. So a year and a half, I guess. I'm really struggling with a niche, so to speak. I really just kind of focused on just lowering inflammation, kind of, marketing as if you're struggling with inflammation, that I can help you with chronic disease that way. I'm new to HTMA. I just did your little course. I bought your little course, and that's really introduction. I've been diving into some research and looking at things on my own, but I'm excited to add this to my toolkit.
Sure. Have you gotten a hair sample back or anything yet?
Yes, I got my daughter's, which you actually looked at the other day.
Oh, yes. Sorry about that.
That's all right. And myself, and I just, a client last week, we did it. We haven't got the results back yet.
Okay. Great. Great.
Working on it.
All right. Nina, if you're available there. Yeah.
Yes, I am. Sorry, no video today for me, but
No worries.
thanks for having us. So I got my NTC in 2017. I've been practicing in Canada as a natural healthcare practitioner since the fall of 2011. So coming up here on a decade. I use HTMA stool testing and some functional lab testing to help my clients. I target on autoimmune and complex disease. And I was curious to see, if you've dug into HTMA and your approach to it. Always love to learn from others. And so I'm very looking forward to hearing what you have today.
Sure. No problem. Thank you for joining.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. All right, Ruth. Hi, good to see you. Oh, there we go.
I was muted. Hi.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Ms. Jensen, it's another great opportunity to learn. Oh, sorry about my dogs.
That's okay.
I graduated from the NTA in 2016, but I was running a Pilates studio full-time for more than a decade and did that kind of part-time. I didn't actually see individual clients. I put together a course and taught classes about nutrition. And that's how I serve people in that format. But last year, my Pilates studio closed due to the pandemic. And so now I'm moving everything online, and I saw HTMA and I thought this is a great opportunity to add this in. So mainly serving women in midlife and helping them just improve their quality of life through nutrition education and movement education. And I'm hoping that I can incorporate this in. It feels a little overwhelming right now. I did my own, as you know, you helped me with that. And I just got my second one. It's my sister. And I don't really know where to start. So I'm looking for some guidance. Oh, and I just finished Lydia Joy's course. So that was
okay. Perfect. And Sam, introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm also sorry that I'm not able to use my video today. I have to take care of my puppy from time to time, so I don't want to distract anyone if I have to take him out. I've been an NTP for a little over a year now and am still kind of working on finding a niche, but it seems like I am leaning more into women's health, in particular, either helping women to balance their hormones naturally, also looking at teaching women about their cycle and how to embrace that. And I'll actually be taking a women's course in the fall that's going to be led by another NTP. So I'm looking forward to that. But I don't do any labs right now. I've been interested in HTMA on and off, which Jensen, you know this. And I realize how important minerals are, especially for me and like health challenges, like my thyroid health. So wanting to dig deeper into that. So I just kind of wanted to see how this would look and possibly incorporating this into my business and being able to further that to building more clientele because I'm absolutely struggling there.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining, Sam. All right. Sarah, Jamie, and Dana, I see that you guys just joined. We were doing quick introductions of, a little bit about yourself, your business, how long you've been in NTP. Do you have a niche? Are you using any labs? And kind of what your hurdle, like your biggest hurdle is right now. So if any of you guys want to chime in, that would be great. Hey, Jamie.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a little late. I just
Oh,
jumped right
that's
in.
okay.
So let's see. I graduated or completed the NTA program in 2018, and I've taken a couple of HTMA courses, one with you, Jensen, Lydia Joy's course, and also I purchased Kendra Perry's course, and I have not completed that. So I kind of purchased it, started it, and then life happened. I am doing Restart. I'm a Restart instructor. I also see one-on-one clients, but they're kind of, sporadic, or they've gone through Restart and then I'm working with them. I have used HTMA a little bit, but it's usually in combination with like the NutriQ and, which is great. I do find it to be an awesome complementary tool, but I want to become more confident in it. So I'm looking forward to going back and going through, Kendra's program as well and just reviewing notes. And then I've been following you also. So I look forward to, just seeing what's going on and what you have for us today.
Great, thanks. And everybody has the workbook, right? That is the download in
Yes.
the email. Okay, perfect. So we'll definitely be going through that. All right. Sarah, did you want to chime in? I don't know who has the availability to be able to jump in or not. Sarah or Dana? All right. Oh, hi, Dana. Oh, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Oh, okay. Hi. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I was just trying to make things work over here. Okay, so I am a nutrition and therapy practitioner since 2018, and I am working with HTMA. This is, I found that this is one of the tools that really work to get some clients into my door. And I'm also, so I'm working with NutriQ as well. And I don't really do any other lab works, but I work with naturopathic doctor, and I order through that doctor if needed, any lab work for the clients. And other than that, yeah, that's pretty much everything.
Great. Awesome. Well, it sounds like we're all coming from kind of different backgrounds, but we're all after the same goal here of finding a way to find new clients. And so I wanted to kind of get us back into just a really like positive mindset to begin with. And I wanted to go back to when we graduated from the NTA. So I don't know if you guys remember the feeling of when you finished, just that like everything is a possibility type of feeling where you could you can go in any niche, you can talk to anybody about it, you're just excited. So I just wanted to kind of embody that as we are moving through everything in this workshop today. I want to try to put any fears of or failures or baggage or anything that we've dealt with since we graduated behind us and just try to start from scratch. So hopefully that's where we can start from. And then I want to think about where are we now and how did we get to where we are now? So it's been a couple of years for a few of us. And so what do you think has led you to the successes that you've had already? And so those clients you are working with, just thinking about how did you get them and what you're really proud of with your business so far. Okay. And then one other piece I wanted to kind of dive into is I wanted to think about when you are introducing yourself to somebody new, how do you introduce yourself? How are you, if you get like a new neighbor, just somebody random coming into your life, how do you introduce yourself? Are you saying, I'm trying to start a business, I'm an NTP, I'm kind of new, like all of that? Or are you just embodying, I'm an NTP, this is what I'm passionate about, and here's what I do? So which way are we kind of falling right now? Can anybody chime in? Like how are you introducing yourself to somebody new right now?
Can I start?
Sure.
Okay, so I don't have a lot of experience, but I do have a little bit of experience, and I've got to the point where, I am pretty confident, and I do say what I do and talk about the services that I offer, and how can people reach me, and I talk about the HTMA. And yeah, so I'm pretty confident. I don't really hesitate in that anymore.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I was trying to get my business off the ground, and I would tell people, because I was in recruiting beforehand. And so I'd say, I'm a recruiter, but this is what I really love. And
Yeah.
as soon as I stopped telling people I was a recruiter and I just said, I have a functional nutrition practice, it seemed like people started asking me more questions, because that seemed to be more interesting to people, especially than being a recruiter. But everybody's dealing with something when it comes to their health. And so as soon as they hear like holistic or functional or something like that, they're typically it at least starts a conversation, and it doesn't necessarily have to lead to being a client, but it can help you figure out that elevator pitch and figure out what they would be needing if they were to be a client, and just using it as almost research. So any other thoughts around that, how we're introducing ourselves? Okay. All right. So
Jensen, I was thinking about this morning, because I kind of market myself as a functional, nutritionist. But I'm thinking, how many people actually know what functional means? Like, what are they? So I'm trying to decide how I should rephrase that so that they can put on more simpler terms where people can know what I do.
Right. Are you saying like in an online space, like saying that you're functional, or just in person?
And I think all of those, like on my Facebook page or Instagram, or just when I'm having conversations. And like easier if you're having a one-on-one conversation with someone, you can, go into more depth and explain to what you do. But just using the word functional, I know what it means, but I don't know if the general public knows what it means.
Yeah, that's a good point. I tend to use the word holistic, even just because that seems to be a more like well-known term. Or I'll just say like I'm in like the natural health space, and then that will typically lead to more questions, and then I can tell them more about functional medicine in general, and that I look at the whole person, and that I pull in stress and lifestyle and all of that in addition to nutrition.
Yeah, holistic is for me too here in Vancouver, Canada. Yeah, that's how people, I don't know, they tend to know more about
Okay.
holistic.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the workbook. As I said, the goal of this workshop is really for each of you to walk away with clarity on the best road to take to get your next 5 to 10 paying clients. And so while I'm pretty biased because I think using HTMA in my practice is how I know for a fact it's how I got all of my clients, because I was struggling before I started using HTMA. And then as soon as I started offering that, it was like the clients were calling me. I wasn't doing any sort of outreach. It just kind of happened. And so I'm a firm believer in what HTMA can tell us and also how it can attract our clients, into working with us. So while this process is best used with a functional lab like HTMA, I think that this will hopefully be helpful even if you're not using HTMA, because I just want to think about like, who do we know, and kind of branch off from there. So, all right, so we'll go ahead and get started with that first page of who do you know. And I'm going to be kind of giving you examples of the people that were in my life throughout. And this isn't to like brag about the people that I know. It's to hopefully spur conversation and help you brainstorm people that you also know in your life. And this is not to say, this isn't one of those like MLM things where it's like, find 5 friends and then get them to get an HTMA test done. It's not like that at all. It's more of using your connections to reach their connections. And so it's not about selling to the people that are in your immediate circle by any means. And also, I shouldn't have even used the word selling, because we're helping people. And that's something that we always have to remember, is that even though we are selling our services, we're helping people. That's our goal at the end of the day here. So starting with the first one is, who do you know that has specifically been really supportive of your own health journey? So let's take family out of this. You'll notice that family is actually last on the list of your who do you know. So who of your friends has been like really supportive of your health journey? And you maybe joining the NTP program back a couple of years ago. For me, I have a friend named Kate that was super supportive of my health journey, and she was actually one of my practice clients. And while she wasn't necessarily somebody that I knew would be interested in an HTMA test, she is a psychologist. And so I was able to talk with her about what I am doing, and I was able to do a presentation to the people that she works with, and talk with her about how HTMA could be effective in like working with the children that she works with in her psych practice. And so my question is, if you have somebody that's been really supportive of your health journey, what did they do for a living? What people did they have access to? So does anybody want to share? People.
I have a friend who owns a yoga studio, and we've had conversations about doing like a nutrition class there. I even put like a guidebook, ebook together for her to share with her clients. It just hasn't gone anywhere yet, especially since last year kind of slowed down her clientele as well.
Right.
But she was actually my practice client too. And she's been very supportive.
Yeah. Okay. So I wonder what you could do now with COVID not being as big of an issue anymore, to maybe promote that a little bit further. Is there any, is that relationship still there and available?
Yeah, it is. It's still available. I've thought about, texting or calling her again. Hey, what about that ebook that I did? And just kind of get brainstorming what we can do again.
Yeah. Great. Okay. All right. So moving down, anybody in your life that specifically needs help, that yeah, we all have people that, I know that I'm surrounded by especially family members that could use a lot of holistic help, but who do you know that maybe isn't a family member that could use some help? So I have a friend named Catherine who has always struggled with panic attacks. And I also know that she eats nothing but protein bars, like for most meals. And so she was somebody that came to mind as somebody who I knew could use my help, but maybe she wouldn't seek it out. She doesn't know she needs my help yet, but she's somebody that I could help. So if you could just write down, brainstorm anybody that comes to mind that you know could use your help. And these can be people all over the country. If you have friends or acquaintances from college, anybody that you kind of keep up with on social media, it can be really anybody. I just want, whenever you're writing these down, just write as many as you can because we're going to narrow it down on the next page. All right. Then the next one is who has specifically shown interest in what you do, and they have asked you for help. So these people would be the free advice seekers is what I would call them. The people that call you and say, what do you think about this? And what if, what vitamins should I be taking? Like just the people that are asking all the questions and want all the free advice, but aren't willing to take the jump and actually work with you one-on-one. Okay. Let me know if I'm going too fast or too slow. So then the next one is neighbors, acquaintances, and friends of friends. So this is actually a pretty big group of people I found for a lot of other NTPs. So I have a pretty close-knit circle of close friends, and it seems like they are all coming to me with their friends' problems. And they're saying, oh, my friend is struggling with infertility, or my sister-in-law has Crohn's, like, could you help her? So kind of taking that one step further of who do your friends talk to you about of having health concerns. Right. And then the next section says chiro, acupuncture, psychologist, nurse, doctor, midwife, yoga, gym. So I just wanted to throw out all of these places. So I've noticed when I'm driving down the street here that I feel like there's a new wellness center opening up on like every corner here. And I don't know what they are promoting. I don't know, anything about them, but I also don't know if that's happening all over the country, if it's really just in Virginia Beach, but think about what do you see kind of in your immediate area of chiropractors, acupuncturists, psychologists. I think midwives and psychologists are probably the most underestimated people that we could be partnering with, because they tend to have, well, specifically psychologists, they know that it's more than just medication that will help their clients, but they typically don't have the nutrition piece to be able to also help them. So it tends to go hand in hand, that you would be able to help them or help their clients out. And then midwives, this is something that I realized when I was pregnant and working with my midwife, and I just got on kind of a personal level with her, where she was asking me about what I was learning and what I was doing. And she would ask me, like, would you ever want to put together something for people with gestational diabetes, or something for third trimester, or for first trimester? I mean, is there anything that we could partner on? Because her clients are coming to her wanting help on this. They are, if you're seeing a midwife, you're already in, you're typically more holistic minded in general. And so reaching out to the midwives in your area could be a really big opportunity to partner with people that have access to more people that would potentially want your help. So have you guys had any experience talking with psychologists or midwives, or I mean, doctors and nurses are also a great fit if they are open enough. So what has been your experience with that?
I'll jump in here, mainly because I've been trying to find a midwife myself, which has been a challenge, honestly, trying to figure out the different types of midwife. Because I'm in the DFW area of Texas, and so it's vast. So it's really hard to narrow down like the kinds that you can go see, but more so like being able to find, like there's usually networks of like functional doctors, so you can look on their site and be able to pick and choose some that are near you. So for one, I found that midwives are kind of hard to find here, so I thought that was interesting. But the other side of that is that I reached out to a midwife for like a partnership opportunity, and I didn't hear anything back. So then I responded, I followed up within like a week, and then I got a message back saying that they're already working with a nutritionist. That's what they said. So I'm actually hitting the wall of the people I really would like to work with already working with someone, or trying to like share with them how I'm different, which is what I did in my email. I made it short but efficient. So that's actually my problem here is one, finding community because I'm in such a big area and I'm still new here in the grand scheme of things. But the other part is they already have someone they are working with. So yeah, the holistic realm here is, I think, a little bit more ramped up.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, we'll get into kind of some of my personal tips of when you're communicating with them, maybe some different ideas to try. But I mean, I definitely understand that and hear that frustration of that they're already working with somebody. So I'm thinking, what could you offer that would differentiate yourself from that nutritionist, or how are they working with that nutritionist? Where is it kind of just they send them to them for a consult? Like, could you put together a very specific program that maybe that nutritionist isn't handling? Does that make sense?
It does. And honestly, that would be really helpful. And now I'm thinking about it, I kind of need to go backwards and create something for people before I even have the opportunity to do anything with them, if that makes sense. Where I think first, let me see if I can establish a partnership, and then from there, create things where maybe it needs to be the other way around, where I have something already established, or I have some solid examples of how I can help them. I think that's where I am lacking, and that would be helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. So personal providers is the section right below. And so that would be, for me personally, that was the endocrinologist that I worked with as I was dealing with my own health struggles, and my midwife. And so just who do you have that you are, that you're already, they already know who you are, but you haven't maybe introduced yourself as a NTP and shared with them what you do. Right. And then the next two do revolve around social media. So I will be completely upfront with you. I am not the social media person. I am terrible at it. I don't enjoy it. It's just not for me. So when I was thinking about how am I going to get clients, it wasn't necessarily about me building my own social media. It was about being able to connect with people that love using social media and how I could serve their population, basically. And so I specifically talked to my friend Katie and my friend Brooke. Brooke is trying to be an influencer, and she does have a lot of health and like lifestyle type stuff, but she doesn't have any sort of certification. And so she was somebody that I reached out to and I said, like, would you want to do a hair test? And I told her about it because she's my friend, and then to see if she wanted to share about it on her social media. And then my friend Katie, this is kind of a different perspective too. This is just my friend, but I've noticed that she has really good engagement on her social media posts. And so I just talked to her because she is one of my closer friends, and she's been very supportive of me being an NTP. And I asked her if she would be willing to recommend what I'm doing or talk about it to her community of people, because people are so engaged with her. She just has this gift that I don't necessarily have when it comes to social media. So just like thinking through, who do you know that is really great at that if you're not great at it? If you are, great. Then obviously use your own social media, and I just take into account your engagement levels. Where do you find that you have the most engagement? Is it on your posts? Is it when you make reels or whatever on Instagram? And obviously leverage that as much as possible. But my recommendations are not necessarily around social media, because I've found that when people are wanting to get health advice and talk to somebody about their health, I haven't found them to be very open on social media. It seems to be a much more personal thing. And so I tend to take a more personal approach, but that's just me. And then the last thing on this list is your family. So I don't necessarily recommend, well, you can definitely do different tests or, start working with your family, but it's not the best way to necessarily grow your business. Unless it's maybe like a distant aunt or something that you can help and they're expressing interest and they maybe fall into one of the other categories. But if it's immediate family, it's great to be able to help them. But if you are going to help them, try to make some sort of arrangement or deal that they will pass your information along or share about what you're doing to the people that they maybe work with or are in their neighborhood or go to their happy hour on Friday nights or whatever, just to try to keep it growing as opposed to being stuck within of like trying to just help people that are in your immediate circle. So yeah, it's just really the last place you'll want to spend time. And then another one that I came up with after I made this workbook is also obviously like young professional groups or entrepreneurship groups, women supporting other women in your community, just getting together with them because what we're doing is helping people. And so just really embody that and remember that when you're introducing your products and services. So is there anywhere else that anybody has found clients that they want to share or anything else that has worked really well for them?
Okay, so I am part of a business network intelligence program. And that's where they're super, so I'm not sure if this is in United States as well, but these groups are very focused on referrals, referring out for you. And yeah, so I found it really helpful.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that how you got connected with the naturopath?
No, it's a different route, but yeah, there is there may be a naturopathic doctor in one of the groups. Yeah, and most of the groups actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. So then on the next page, I'm going to have you narrow it down. So hopefully you have a few people listed in each category. And I just want you to narrow it down to the people that really maybe stood out to you as like, oh, that is a good connection or that person potentially has good connections. So I just want you to narrow those down. And then where it says natural connection, I just want you to think about where or basically how it would be easiest for you to connect with them about this. So I'm trying to take this like step by step so that we don't forget anything along the way. And so, for example, I tend to go on walks with a lot of my friends. And so my natural connection with a lot of them is either getting coffee or going for a walk. And so write down like, what is the natural way that you could tell them about what you're doing and see if there's any potential for utilizing the relationship. And this isn't meant to be salesy or anything like that. I hope that's not coming across. It's more of just taking that personal approach. And then the symptom/reason, if it is somebody who specifically deals with something health related, like that about their health struggles, so maybe somebody in one of those first three categories, just write down that symptom that that they are dealing with, that they've talked with you about for one reason or another. And then you could, if you are thinking of a specific midwife practice or chiropractor or something near you, you could write down in the symptom/reason column what you think you could specifically provide for their practice. Like, what could you take off of their plate that would help their clientele? Okay. And then at the very bottom there, it says, who can take your hair sample? And I know this sounds really silly, but if you are using HTMA, I found that especially people in those first three categories that have been supportive of your health journey, somebody who needs help themselves, but maybe doesn't know that they need the help, or has shown interest and wants help, if you can somehow talk with them and say, to be able to share with them what you're doing and tell them, I'm really needing somebody to help me get my hair sample, then it's a very natural way to share it with them, and that they become invested in your own journey with getting your results back. And it makes it a natural way to share what you're going through. And then it tends to promote individual curiosity. I will say that's how I started working with this girl, Catherine, who was struggling with the panic attacks and just eating protein bars daily, and she's been one of my longest clients. I asked her for help with getting my hair sample, and it just was such a natural conversation. And I told her what I was going to learn from it about myself. And she was like, oh, I want to know that about myself. And so we were talking about heavy metals and how those can be impacting our body, and the mineral imbalances and all of that. And so she ended up asking if she could do a hair test within about a week. And then after that, because she was so excited about getting her own results, she told like 3 of her neighbors about it. And I ended up working with all 3 of them as well. And I continue to get referrals from her and the people that she referred to me. And so even though she was one of I would call her an acquaintance at the time, we've gotten closer, and I help support her business and she helps support mine. She she has kind of a retail thing here in Virginia Beach. So just finding ways to support each other has been really helpful. So that was one piece of it. And then should it be documented is if you are a social media person, or you are the person that you are asking to help you maybe with your hair sample is a social media person, seeing like, would it be beneficial to document this process for the people that are following? And so because there is the 2-week gap between doing your hair test and getting the results, using those 2 weeks to explain, what you're trying to learn from it, and then taking people on the journey with you tends to make them really want to know more about themselves, because you are able to say, I'm going to be using this data specifically to create my plan forward. And I can't tell you exactly what you would need without knowing what your hair results would say, or what whatever lab you're using would say. So, all right. So the next page is a word on partnering. So kind of going back to what Sam was saying, if you have the chance to speak with a doctor or a midwife, my recommendation is to approach it as a conversation, and like just gathering research about their clientele and what's in it for them, basically, and not necessarily just telling them, here's what I do and here's how you can help me. It's, what are you overwhelmed with? What are you constantly telling your clients? And what could I take off of your plate? And I think even in, like Sam, when you were saying with the midwife that's already worked with the other nutritionist, I would almost ask, like, what is there anything that she's not able to help with? Or like, what is still coming up with your clients and that kind of thing? Like, what program could I put together that would be the most beneficial thing for them? And you can offer to do it for free or at a discounted rate, or just even hosting one class for them. It doesn't have to be this ongoing thing. I think a lot of people are looking for a partnership where they can make this like year-long commitment of, I'm going to be your person, and they need to trust you. And so just offering that one service for them, or that one program, one class, so that they can get to know you, they know that you follow up on your word and that you deliver really great information that maybe they're not getting elsewhere, that's what starts the relationship that grows into the partnership, not necessarily jumping into it as, do you want to partner? So
Yeah, I think it's a great point and something to think about, and not taking just a simple, we've already got someone as an answer, but going back and asking them what else they might need, or if she or he's able to serve and that they are looking for. It doesn't hurt to ask. So that's something for me to take note of.
yeah. And even if this is just something that came to mind right now is, even if they've said they already have somebody, if you just say, you could always reach out to them and be like, hey, I know that you already have somebody, but I'm going to be putting on this class about, and do it on a very specific topic for them. So if you have any third trimester pregnant mamas that would be interested in this talk, it would be here. And then just like directing them there instead of just telling them like the basic, or not the basics, a broad version of what you do, like specifically serve their population without them even asking.
That's good stuff. Thank you.
All right. And I thought this was interesting too. I put a link in here for an article in the New York Times. It's becoming much more common for doctors' offices to have health coaches. Like I hate using the word health coach for us, but health coaches on staff, or that they're partnered with. And so the New York Times did a whole article on this and the benefits of having the accountability aspect of health coaches, and just that it's becoming so much more common. And so if you read that, you can always share that with people, that we're not, like, we're all after the same thing. We're all trying to help people be healthy and eat well and reduce stress, and like that we can work on this together, even if we don't have like a medical background. I think that's one thing that tends to hold people back from approaching doctors' offices or talking with like nurses and that kind of thing. So, all right, the next page is the introductory deal. So honestly, this is just what I did when I was getting started with HTMA. This is the process that I used that I didn't even realize was a strategy at the time. But I desperately needed some people to get hair results in so that I could start learning how to interpret them. And so, and obviously from that, it just grew. And so this is why I'm just so passionate about HTMA. But this is the communication formula that I have used time and time again when I'm talking to anybody about becoming a potential client or growing some sort of partnership. So basically telling them why HTMA or what you're doing will specifically benefit them. So again, the what's in it for me type of mentality. So not necessarily how they can help you, but what you can do for them. If you're using HTMA would be able to tell you this about yourself. And so even if you're not necessarily correct on what their lab results end up telling them, I've found that people are very interested in the heavy metal component of HTMA, where I can say, yeah, I can see if you are being exposed to any specific heavy metals that you wouldn't even know are in your water supply and how your body is handling them. And so that tends to get that piques people's interest and makes them want to, run a test for themselves. And then I would put together like just a one-time consultation introductory deal. I would put a limit on it of how many people you're willing to accept, because this is going to be a lower cost than what you would typically offer. This is really just to get people in the door. So from the list that we made on the first page, being able to offer this to them. So you would be offering one HTMA test, a one-on-one consult, and the protocol based on their results. And I did it for, I actually had two different options. One was only $99 and one was $149. So it gave them something to pay for, like tangible, those lab results. It gave them something tangible. And once I had the one-on-one consult with them, I was able to very naturally ask them if they wanted more support, more accountability. Again, it's not asking them, hey, do you want to work together for 3 months? It's, why don't we just see, like, what if your joint pain has to do with excess calcium in your joint tissue or in your tissues? Like, let's see. And then I can help you with that if that is the case. And so just approaching it from that first step and then moving forward from there and letting the client lead that as well. And I would put a date on the program, when the program or the introductory group, when that starts, when you're not accepting people anymore, because by doing that, it gives people the opportunity to either opt in or opt out. If you leave it open just perpetually, people will always think it's just available. And so if you say, look, this is starting in 2 weeks and I'm looking for 5 people, and you can share that with the people that we came up with on your last, on that first page. And so you're not necessarily pitching it to them. You're saying, hey, do you know anybody who would be interested in this introductory group? And you can always tell people that you're adding this new, like this is specifically for HTMA, but that you're adding this new lab to your practice and you're looking to get more experience and you're just seeing if anybody would be interested. So any thoughts around that? Kind of, that was a little bit all over the place, so I apologize. Has anybody created kind of like a beta test group or an intro deal like that before? No? Okay. All right. Is there anything that comes up for you when you're thinking about creating an intro deal like that? Does that seem doable, or is there something that's scary about that?
I was just thinking this weekend, how am I going to promote this? Like, how am I going to let people know that I've added this to my practice? So this is a good starting point for me.
Okay. How do you think that you want to start sharing it? What are the first things that come to mind for you?
Well, I mean, I can always make a Facebook post, but I think it would be better just to use that list of people that have already had conversations with.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically, like, I have a chiropractor that has referred a few clients to me. So I'm thinking maybe I should go to her and say, hey, I want to, add this to my practice. Would you like to do it? Or would you have any, patients that you think would benefit from it?
Right, right. Yeah, I think that sounds great. That's perfect. All right. So on the next page here, this is just a common symptom list that you can use if you are planning to use HTMA, or if somebody has a specific symptom. This is not an all-encompassing list by any means, but it gives you that one thing to tell them that does tend to correlate with that symptom. So if they're, like, for example, if they're struggling with acne, you can say, I know you've been struggling with acne, and I work with clients that have struggled with that before, and I've seen that a low zinc to copper ratio can potentially it can be correlated with that, and I'm able to help you, fix that if that is the case. And so that there's different minerals and different metals that correlate with different symptoms, and it's all about mineral balance at the end of the day. And so it's always worth testing. So that's just a list to be able to use for like common symptoms. And then when you are getting hair tests done, if you're working locally or with people remotely, using that specifically, the actual act of getting the hair test done, like I mentioned, setting up time to do it in person, it really goes a long way with building rapport with the client, because it gives you an opportunity to talk with them and talk about why you're passionate about this and get to know them better. I mean, that's exactly how, like I mentioned with Catherine, that I was so I went over to her house to get her hair sample, and we were talking further, and that's when she started saying, you know, who could use this? And then she's throwing out all of these names, and I'm like, oh, okay, great. Like, I happen to have some business cards on me, or how could I reach them? Or what do you recommend? And she's literally sitting there texting them saying, hey, you have to work with Jensen. We're doing this hair test. And then it moves from there. And then if your clients are local, you can also host an event to obtain hair samples. So if you wanted to do like a cooking class or something like that, you could always host an event, or do like a presentation somewhere like Becky, where you were mentioning the yoga studio. If you did something revolving around yoga and how you can help that population, and then being able to offer getting people's hair samples directly after. I would recommend, if you're at I don't know if it's a hot yoga studio, but I would take some, what's it called? Clarifying shampoo with you. And so that if anybody did want to get their hair sample done immediately, you could tell them to like wash their hair, because they might have sweat in their hair, which will completely change the results. And then if you are working with people remotely, I have just made it where people can set up a time where I will guide them personally through getting their own hair test. So I have found that some people get very nervous about that process. And so if you're just there on the phone with them saying, okay, now just take a section of the hair and cut it and put it on the scale, and just walking them through it and setting up a time for them to do it, so that it's not just this perpetual thing that they're going to get to at some point in the future. If you walk them through it, it tends to just help with with getting it in the mail for them and alleviating any anxiety that they have. So, and then also you can obviously send them a video of you taking a hair sample, but going that extra step, it's just a great opportunity for additional conversation around what you're doing and what it can help. All right, so you may have heard me talk about this before. This is something that I am very passionate about with building a business around HTMA, is utilizing the 2 weeks in between getting the hair sample in the mail and getting the results. So it takes about 2 weeks. And I find that my clients are the most excited and motivated in those 2 weeks, because everybody is waiting. They'll tell you, you know, I don't want to start anything because I want to see what my hair tests say. And like, they're just excited. And so using those 2 weeks really effectively to get them a quick win has been the best thing for turning them into recurring clients, so that they feel like they're getting more than just a one-on-one consultation with you, that they're getting support for those 2 weeks. They're getting to know you. They're getting to see how much you have to offer to them in those 2 weeks when they're the most excited. So this is when, if you have a specific niche, that you can really focus on that. I don't have a specific niche with a lot of my, I kind of have 2 separate businesses with HTMA just because of one of the partnerships I have. But so I work with a psychologist that is focused on bariatric surgery, and she does like the sign off on bariatric surgery. So I have like a bariatric side of what I do, but I don't think you need a specific niche to be able to work with people with HTMA. And so, but if you do have a niche, this is where you would want to kind of hone in on that and use it for those 2 weeks. And so some ideas that I have used, I've tried lots of different things, and I have stuck with a few of them, is I will either send out an email sequence, so then I don't have to do anything with it. It's already pre-written. I did it once for one client, and then I just will sign the person up for it. And it's a 2-week program that helps them clean out their pantry and just eliminate sugar. Because I find obviously with any client, that is one of the biggest things. I think a lot of people don't realize how much sugar is in everything. And so that's one of my most popular 2-week programs. And I do this all free of charge to them, because I just want to add that extra bonus of them working with me so that they will sign up for additional consultations. Another example is I've done text challenges. There's an app called Moxie where you can schedule texts. I'm all about automating this type of thing because you don't need to be spending all of your time doing something for free when you're trying to build a business. So with the Moxie app, you can just schedule a text to go out every other day or just to check in. And all of my text challenges it starts with a question that I'm asking the client, like, how much water do you want to, or are you committed to drinking today? And so then they'll be able to respond and we can have a conversation around that. I'll ask them things about their sleep, their hydration. It's all those like very basic things that are easy to talk about, but really hard to put action to. And so I show them, this is what I do. I help with you being accountable to yourself and getting results in that way. And also in those 2 weeks, that's when I send them the disclaimer, the NAC, and the intake interview. And I make sure that all of that comes across in a very professional way, because I want to make sure that I am establishing myself to every single one of my clients as a professional, and that this is not just like my little hobby on the side. That's very important to me. Because I think a lot of people think of health coaches as like this like little weekend certification. And I want to differentiate myself from that. And that's also another reason I love having HTMA in my practice, is that I feel like it elevates my practice to where I'm able to offer something that they wouldn't get at a doctor's office, but that they wouldn't get from just like a run of the line nutritionist that's going to hand them like a standard meal plan. So. All right. And then I know we're coming up on time here, but the last piece of this is the consultation, the one-on-one consultation. So once the HTMA results come in, set up time to meet with the client and go over their results, and use obviously all the information you've learned through the NTA, the intake interview, the NAC, all of that all together to create their protocol. And make sure that when you are finishing out your consultation with them, that you ask them specific questions about what they thought about working with you, if there's anything that they would change, and specifically ask when they are eliciting that change talk in their consultation, ask them how you can support them best with those changes that they're going to be making. And so I don't necessarily put out like, okay, you can work with me for 3 months and this is how it works. I say, what would be the most helpful thing for you, for me to provide for you? Like, do you want me to just check in with you every week? Do you want me to check in with you every month? Or do you want to have a full-on consultation? Like, what's going to be the best thing for you? And then by doing that, I know in my head what I will potentially need to charge, or from like an hourly perspective, but I don't stick to some very specific program that I'm trying to lock people into. And so I make it all about the client and what do they need? What do they need? Okay. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
I was just going to say that I think it's really great to be reminded that we're ultimately trying to help people by seeking out what they need. And sometimes what we have in mind may not be what they are trying to seek out. So I think it's good that even though we may have a niche or are trying to focus more in that realm, if we come across people that are requiring something else, that we might be able to tailor our niche to that or shift for a little bit to see maybe that's more the path that we need to take.
Sure.
So that's just like kind of like a light bulb for me. It was okay, you got an idea of what you'd like to niche down into, but also asking people consistently what they need and what they're struggling with will be helpful in the long run, and also figuring out how to ask those questions right, because I've found that I don't have very much success through social media asking those questions. So how else I can reach out to people and figure out what is going on to see what I can do to assist them.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing, Sam.
Sure thing.
Great. So before we close up, just as a thank you, I wanted to let you know that so a few of you actually are already in the Instant HTMA professional community, but I am offering anybody who attended this event early access to the course that I'm launching this week. So there are 20 slots open to becoming a founding member of the HTMA course that I'm building out that completely revolves around these 2 apps that I've built that are it's all based on the research done by Dr. Lawrence Wilson. And so there's a single test app and a retest app. So you plug in the HTMA results directly to those, and it comes up with all these different patterns, different stress patterns and psychological patterns, and just priorities, what to focus on first. And then there will be a whole course built out around that. So anybody that was here, you guys have access before it opens to the public tomorrow to jump in and grab a seat. There are only 20 founding member slots available. And I'll be building out over the next 8 weeks. There'll be Q&A calls every other week where I'll be fully supporting this group of 20 people. I want to make sure that this course is like the end all be all to HTMA courses. I have not gotten what I needed from any of the courses that I took. So I am on a mission to make the one that I wanted and I needed, and share it with you guys, and then also automate it as much as possible so that you can scale your practice. So that's my goal with HTMA, is being able to automate quite a bit of it and make it a lot simpler to use. So yeah, thank you so much for joining. I'll put the link here if you want to check out what the course is going to entail. And again, it'll open to the public. It'll open at noon tomorrow, but you have a chance right now to jump in and get a seat before it's available to everybody else. So is there anything else that we wanted to go over? Anything else anybody wanted to share?
I just wanted to say thank you.
No problem. Thanks, Dana. All right, just want to make sure. Oh, I got direct messages. All right, I think we're good. Thank you. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Jensen.
All right, bye.